Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this week's segment of the Bama Factor with Alex Taylor. As always, I'm your host, Alex Taylor, and man, we got a lot to unpack this week. And of course, just want to address the first thing. It is a bye week. We have finally made it to the second bye week of the year. Every team getting 2 bye weeks this year. I kind of like that. This year, especially. Got one early in the season. Was kind of odd to have it in the season, but this is usually Alabama's regular bye week, as we've seen in previous seasons. Always the week before LSU. Always, in my opinion, probably the best time for a bye week. After playing this many consecutive weeks of football and high level football at that. But we're just speeding right along through this season. We're already in week 10 this upcoming weekend. Next weekend, Alabama LSU will be week 11 already. College football, man, it's going by fast already. Only so many more of college game days left, and these Wednesday night games and Thursday night games. Getting to watch these, and it's just going by so quick. Playoff bracket starting to take shape now. Some contenders starting to really make themselves known, and some teams trying to pull to that front of the pack, and there's teams fighting for position. But just going to go ahead and jump into this episode. We would like to also take this time to let you know that the Bama Factor is a proud member of the College Huddle. The College Huddle, the largest fan-led podcasting community on the internet and in the country. If you want to learn more, you can go to the website www.thecollegehuddle.com. You can check out all the members there, over 70 plus schools represented on thecollegehuddle.com, all the way from the ACC all the way down to your group of fives. We are the Alabama representative. The Bama Factor is on there. Our page is on there. You can see all the links to our YouTube pages, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. You can also see our main page where articles are posted if we post them, and you can catch a lot of other good shows there as well. Also, if we collab with the SEC show, you can also catch us there as well. And if you know of anybody who has a podcast and sees a school that isn't represented, you can reach out to myself, or you can reach out to some of the creators as well, and they can get you in touch with joining our community. But we are a proud member of the College Huddle, and we can't thank them enough for the opportunity that they gave us to join. So without further ado, we're just going to jump right into it. So really addressing the elephant in the room, Alabama dominating Missouri. Now, some of you can say, Missouri didn't have Brady Cook. They didn't have Nate Noel. This was a hobbled Missouri team. Well, one, they did have Brady Cook, whether he's 100% or not, and he did choose to play. They didn't have their starting running back, but let's be honest, Michael Carroll did pretty well. But overall, Alabama, this was, as I said on last week's podcast, this was a dig deep game. This is your soul searching game. This is a game that you want to find out what you're really made of. And, I think the guys did, hearing just, what had taken place in practice, and, just really getting after each other. Tyler Booker had really stepped up. CJ Dupree had stepped up. A lot of other guys just really holding guys accountable. You got to get to a point in the season where your leaders step up, and obviously Tyler is a captain, CJ being a senior, and they did step up. So overall, I think the performance that you saw from Alabama, 34-0. First of all, getting the shutout, very key. A very big momentum type of thing, headed into a bye week that you want to see, and going to carry over into your next game, into the rest of the season. But overall, just really solid performance, and didn't start off that way, kind of started off slow again. But getting to be in the stadium Saturday, first of all, it's always awesome to go. But the energy from the fan base was there. You could tell the energy from the team was there. But again, dominating Missouri in all three facets of the game. And regardless of quarterback or not, still to shut out an SEC team is always impressive. And that kind of leads me to the second point. When Nick Saban was coaching Alabama, he always talked about, the team has to find the identity and they have to create their own. Like none of his teams were ever the same. Year in and year out, he always says this team has to create for itself its own identity. It has to create, its character, its culture. From years past teams, 2017 is not going to be 2016. 2011 is not going to be 2009. You have to create continuity and you have to create your identity as a team each and every year. And I think this is something that team's been searching for. I think, against Georgia, I think they almost, like if you're digging for gold, as a gold miner would, it's almost like they chipped the first part of that gold against Georgia of their team identity. And then they lost it a little bit against Vanderbilt, tried to kind of reestablish it against South Carolina, couldn't really find it, then lost a little bit more of it against Tennessee. And now I think against Missouri, hence you started running the football, you really established your run game, your defense. Again, I'm getting ahead of myself. Defense kind of turned a corner, really coming into their own the last 2 or 3 weeks. But you're running the football more effectively. You're blocking more effectively. You're getting the ball to your playmakers, and now you're playing more aggressively on defense, and you're getting your playmakers chances to obviously make plays in and on the defense as well. Now you're kind of finding your identity, and I think the team is. I think the team, as far as fans wanting, Kalen DeBoer to show more emotion. I think Saturday showed it, ripped into a player, ripped into some officials, ripped into the guys, when they were committing some penalties as well, just really demanding the standard. And, I think, seeing the intensity on the sideline from the players, I think seeing, when, players made big plays and, just on the sidelines, for example, in the picture there, Bryson Hubbard, first career start, first career interception, the team just mobbed him on the sideline. And that's what you want to see. You want to see, your teammates being supportive of you. You want to see that chemistry. You want to see that identity and that culture come together. And I think Saturday, the guys just went out there and they had fun. And they just played free and they just went and played ball. They didn't think, they just played ball. And, like I said, it was a dig deep game. Do you want to be here? Do you want to salvage your season? We've got to work out with what we do. But really just seeing all that, it's again, I think this team is finding who they are and who they're going to be the rest of the season. That's the question that they got to answer. Who are you going to be the rest of the season? Which kind of leads me into my third point. And has the defense turned a corner? And, really from the Tennessee game on, like I said, I don't put the loss on the defense for the Tennessee game because, again, they created 3 turnovers. But, created 4 turnovers this past Saturday against Missouri, 3 interceptions, one from Malachi Moore, Bryson Hubbard, Quay Russaw, and obviously a turnover on downs to cement the shutout. And just speaking of that as the defense, like, you care so much about this shutout that the starters asked to go back in on that 4th and goal, and they preserved the shutout. That meant something to them. That meant something to Kalen DeBoer. That meant something to me as a fan. Because when you see that, and when you see their commitment to that, that's the standard. That's the Bama standard. And the defense played to it, holding Missouri to 42 yards passing, 239 total yards, 0 points at the end of the day. But, also with, just they tackled well in space. They were stuffing the run up the middle, again, creating the turnovers, and the offense was converting off of those turnovers. So I think when you see, just how the defense is playing, especially these last couple of weeks, I think now going into the off week, now you have all the momentum and you got a chance to get some guys healthier. You got some chance to get some guys rested. And now you've got 2 weeks to really hone in on an LSU offense, and I'm going to try not to get into too much of the LSU preview. That's for next week. But now you've got something to get into of where you can prepare for an LSU offense that's going to be different than what you've seen this year. Garrett Nussmeier, Kyron Lacey, Josh Williams. Like, you've got a lot of good playmakers. Obviously, Mason Taylor, they've got a good offensive line, hasn't given up a lot of sacks. They block well. So now you have 2 weeks to prepare of how to attack them. And, I think these guys are really buying into Kane Womack's scheme. I think they're buying into what he's bringing. And we can just hope that that continues. And now kind of switching to the other side of the ball, especially with our quarterback, Jalen Milroe. And, let's talk a little bit about the offense run game, and I talked a little bit about it on my Instagram page, but, the run game is getting going at the right time. And, Jam Miller, Justice Haynes, Richard Young even, 271 yards Saturday. That's the Bama standard, pounding that rock, beating people into submission, running the ball, wearing them down. And that's what it's going to take from here on out. That's what it's going to take to beat LSU. LSU, I think their run defense is very suspect. Obviously, against Texas A&M, against Arkansas, their run game is very suspect. They're not good with a mobile quarterback. They're not good with running backs. Texas A&M ran all over them. Marcel Reed ran all over them. Amari Daniels, Le'Veon Moss. They ran all over them. And you just look at what your game plan would be if you're Kalen DeBoer and your run game's getting going at the right time, and you have a week, or actually you have 2 weeks now to get Jalen Milroe healthy, because again, I do believe that he's hurt, and that leads into my point here. Jalen Milroe's health. You kind of saw in the second half Saturday his confidence come back, that swagger come back, stepping into throws, hitting guys out of their breaks, running the football more effectively, taking command like he usually does. Now you've got 2 weeks to get him healthy. Now you got 2 weeks for him to get his swagger back, resting, and being prepared for LSU. We know what he did last year when he had an extra week to prepare for LSU. So if Jalen Milroe's 100% healthy against LSU, I think it's game over. And we've seen that. Go back to the Georgia game. When you look at what he did against Georgia, I think it's incredible. And when he's healthy, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. So, frankly, keeping the running game going, getting the ball to Ryan Williams, getting the ball to guys like Jeremy Bernard, Emmanuel Henderson, C.J. Dupree is coming along. But the run game, establishing that, the offensive line blocking well, it's going to be interesting. And that kind of leads me into my last segment here for the bye week thoughts. My thing is just, you've got to, this week, you got to take advantage. You've got to get some guys healthy. You've got to get some guys who are just a little bit banged up, healthy. You've got to use this week to evaluate where you are as a team. You're 6-2, everything on the line. This is a college football playoff elimination game in a week. And, you've got to understand that you've got to take this bye week as an opportunity to get better, to improve, to study your opponent. And my thing is that we have our whole season in front of us. We have everything in front of our offense. We have everything in front of our defense. And I'm just excited to see what happens next week and just kind of how we progress through this week, kind of what we hear from Coach DeBoer of how practice went this week and then, how it's going to go next week. And, we've got to make the trip to Death Valley, and it's going to be very interesting. But so far at this point in the season, everything's still in front of us. Obviously some games to unfold this weekend. Don't know what will be ranked in the AP poll before the LSU game. If I have to imagine, we probably won't move up a lot unless a lot happens in the top 10 that we just tend to jump people. But other than that, I'm just super excited because, this is what college football is all about. You play the whole season for games like this. And, LSU comes in 6-2. We come in 6-2. Both teams have a lot on the line. And, this is like I said, a college football playoff elimination game to start the month of November. And we're going to have to get after it. But overall, celebrating the win over Missouri, enjoying the bye week. So to all of you guys. I hope you enjoy the bye week, stress-free this weekend. But hope you guys enjoy the bye week. Hope you guys enjoy the other games that you get to watch. I'm going to be enjoying the games that I get to watch. And we will see you back here next week as we preview Alabama's big SEC showdown with LSU. As I said again, a CFP elimination game. Everybody, have a great college football Saturday. Good night. God bless, and roll Tide.